sorry.
You're awesome.
Point taken. So, hey, we're now recording.
Anything.
Sorry, we didn't really start the major content. So welcome to the MicroProfile live Hangout, March 23rd. Link to the meeting minutes is in the chat, and it is everyone's shared responsibility to take notes. So please add your name to the list of attendees and in the meeting notes. And this will be uploaded to YouTube along with the contents of the chat. So, so sorry. Now, someone mentioned with regards to the meeting minutes, can no one read or edit? Can anybody read or edit?
We can read, but not edit.
Okay, there are editors. I think what we may have to do, just in the interest of time, sorry, you know what, I took the action item, I moved the doc. When I moved the doc, it screwed up the permission, so I apologize for that. Yeah, okay, Chandra says he can't even read it. So let me share the screen. This may be a one-off call where it's kind of screwed up. And I think here's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to change. I'm going to create it and copy and paste it in. It's going to screw up links from places, but I've tried this multiple times, and it's just Google Docs sharing and moving stuff from multiple Google accounts, and I think that's how I'll tackle it.
Yeah, like and I want to say, John, John and I tackled this via text over last week, and I want to tell you how painful John was tackling their text and text. So I know he has done the work trying to fix it. Once the minutes were moved to the external drive, it got completely screwed up. So the copy paste is the last option. So let's do that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it right now, but I want to know. I want everyone to know. John and I actually texted on this because it was such an issue, and you need to know that we tried to open it and it didn't work.
Okay.
So now we're going to fix it. So John, it's not your fault.
Yep.
I was there.
We trust you. We trust you. Let's move on to the agenda.
So
I want to make sure. This is not sure. I was there.
Can anybody edit the docs besides me?
I can.
Okay. All right. So
can.
congratulations, note taker.
I can.
I have.
Okay,
been,
all right.
actually. That's
All right.
the
Awesome.
first
Thank
item
you.
in there.
Okay, yeah, so this will get fixed. I'll tackle this later today. Again, apologize. It's just been a pain in the butt. Okay, so trademark and branding discussion. So one of the outcomes of last week is that out of the budget is we really do need a formal definition of trademark and branding and what exactly it is that we are trademarking and branding, because we do not yet have a platform spec. So that might tie into this discussion. So Kevin, fix this. Okay, that was his action item to me. Let's, I'm not quite sure how to kick off this conversation, but maybe one thing to do is, I think Kevin and maybe Amelia, you were involved in the Jakarta branding and trademarking exercises. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you can give a little bit of your background about some of the action items that need to be taken care of so that we can list them out and maybe start kind of assigning folks to things, volunteers or otherwise. Thanks.
Yes, it will be my pleasure. Okay, for the trademark and branding, what you currently see in Jakarta IE is what we, a few of us, created. I started in the summer of 2018. Not only did we write the trademarks that you see, but we also created the trademark guidelines, but we also created the branding book that is a slides so that a user, contributor, a member can know the colors and things like this. This we have done, so it's easier to just tackle it. We have issues for each single task, and we have partially finished the trademark. Now, for the trademark, the link is added in the last week's page or minutes, and it's important because a contributor helped draft it. And then many of us, Tatiana and Debbie and a bunch of other contributors, went in there and fixed some things. What we did was to convert the PDF currently located publicly for the Jakarta trademark into Word. And then I said, I have been a mentor for the new contributor. It's a totally new contributor in MicroProfile. He said, I want to own this, owned it, and he has done beautifully. It's like a great way to enter. The point is, everything is in minutes, and this can take about a month to do all the little tasks because we already did the work for Jakarta. It's extremely easy. My interest here, and I want everyone to know, is for us to save the $40,000. MicroProfile doesn't need to hire services to update the website. Jakarta does, and it's up to the working group. So we don't have to do we don't require a bunch of those services. So we will save much of that money that is currently listed in the draft as a $40,000 hit.
Well, I don't jump to that conclusion yet.
Yes, we have the legal trademark. That is
we may need some of it. We just don't know how much we'll need, right?
Exactly,
So
but I'm saying that it's not going to be that we will have to pay 40K out of 120,000 that we currently have.
Yeah.
What I'm saying,
here's the thing. I don't want to jump into the budget part of this right now. Really what I want to do is, this is kind of where we left off last week. We need to kind of list the set of things that we need to do action items on, right? Action items, list them out. Let's start tackling them. And then, we can kind of go back around and figure out the budgeting aspect of it. So I kind of want to, as a part of this discussion for now, just avoid the entire budget aspect of it. I think it's an understood discussion, that needs to be had, but we kind of agreed that we're going to do some of this stuff, I think, first. So Amelia said that she had, along with in the marketing meeting,
Yeah,
had talked about this stuff.
We have been working on it, and there are issues. What I would like us to do is, the next call is on Monday. And what I would like us to do is to bring more of an insight to this call. The last few calls on this every week, we can never get to have the update to say, hey, this is what we have. Let's move forward. We have already created the trademarks, logos, but they need to be tackled with community feedback. So we need to bring it to here. We need to bring it to the community. And that means we need to be ready for the conversation.
But Amelia,
So Kevin,
it's more.
What's your perspective?
Yeah, it's more than just the logos and the trademarks. It's the branding process.
I know.
Because right now, when we did MicroProfile 4.0, we bypassed this idea of the MicroProfile 4.0 platform. We said, no, we're going to call the marketing release because we want to make progress and get through the process of the specification process. But as we go forward here, this is what has to be determined. Not that we have to figure it out right here on this call, but how are we going to determine the MicroProfile brand, whatever the logo is, how is that going to be determined? Who is allowed to use it and under what conditions?
And that is what we need to talk about. This is why the trademark outlines are awaiting for the conversation, and we have not started the conversation. And I believe we should do that starting today a little bit. But let's see what other topics do we have here. That is the only thing missing from the trademark currently speaking.
Well,
there's a lot of things missing, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when we created the trademarks, we stopped and I said, we need to know what compatibility means for MicroProfile and who can use what.
Yeah.
Kevin, you nailed it. Yeah.
That's a big topic. I don't
exactly.
I don't want it to come across like, oh, well, that's a piece of cake. We're going to get it done in 5 minutes and let's move forward. I mean,
it's not going to be a topic. It's not. It took Jakarta months.
Give people a little room to finish their sentences.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
Hi, guys, everyone.
And I just want everyone on the call to realize that this is a bigger piece of work to determine how are we going to open up the branding capability and the process. And it's not, we don't have that part of it in place yet. And so we will be requiring additional discussions, documenting what we have done and, getting that approved. So there's plenty of opportunity to participate, but we do have to get moving on it.
Yes.
The one thing I'm going to interrupt, sorry, is I do want to make sure that we have more input from other folks on the call, maybe that have been part of Jakarta as well. So is there anyone else that kind of has thoughts around branding and compatibility from like the Jakarta side and how it might apply here?
Kenji, you were there with me. What do you think? That was painful, correct?
No, first, I have a question about the trademark or brand is held by the Eclipse Foundation. So I don't think we can define the usage or branding or logo about MicroProfile. Is it correct?
No, we did. All the logos for MicroProfile have been created by the community. And, you know, so for example, when MicroProfile was donated to the Eclipse Foundation after creation, you know, like for example, Tommy Tribe signed over IP rights to that logo at that time and the trademark and all that kind of stuff. So now, after we were in the Eclipse Foundation, we did have a logo contest to create the current logo, and we had submissions from a lot of different people, and we voted on the current MicroProfile logo, and that was okay. So we do have the ability to do that again if we wanted to. We could make our own, you know, compatible logo. It might be, say, the MicroProfile M with like a little circle around it, or who knows, whatever it is. We do have the ability to make that. And that would be fine. We would just need to go through the same process that we've done in the past. Is when we create a piece of art like that, we got to sign the right documents. And
so you mean that we mean the MicroProfile working group?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
A logo could come from anywhere as long as the person who or entity that made it is willing to sign the appropriate paperwork.
Correct. And Kenji, remember that for Jakarta IE, for the trademarks, we also did the same thing. We filed a contest, added a bunch of, and welcomed the community to submit logos. Tommy Tribe has created a few logos, but I believe we should do the same that we did for original MicroProfile and for Jakarta IE. It's fine. There are many more designers than just a few in this call and with the members. So yeah.
So the short answer is we can get logo submissions from ourselves, the community, wherever we want to take them, vote on them together as a working group, which one we want to use as the compatible logo, and, you know, decide where it applies.
Mm-hmm.
Can it be used by components or just by some future MicroProfile umbrella spec? These are the decisions we have to make. And then we have to decide how we want to put them on the website. If we want to do that at all, you know, how much clout we want to give the logo.
And John, you are showing something that isn't the current external drive. So not many in the community will have access, which is okay. My question is, currently we're using the MicroProfile repo to do this. My recommendation is to transfer those issues to the MicroProfile working group repo. It seems to me cleaner, and like that, it can be a part of the tasks that will be added in the current Excel sheet, like just the issues. Tracking via issues is a wonderful thing. If the issues cannot be transferred, then we just copy paste and move on. That will be my recommendation. And we can assign people to them. There are, John, can you show again the sheet? I can tell you exactly what we can do and what we cannot do. Number 5 and 6 will be owned by the Eclipse Foundation. Everything else can be done by us. But 5 and 6 need to be owned by the Eclipse Foundation. So then, creation date, that is hard, but we need to type a line. It needs to be get issue. Immediately after A, it needs to be the B, and then we can just tackle it. And it needs to be like someone that is owning it, community leader. Oh yeah, you have it. Action item, that's a get issue. Yeah, 5 and 6 are owned by,
Okay, so this is something that actually John and I were talking about with tracking all this different stuff in the program plan. So if we are going to correlate each of these to an issue, then we should have that as one of the columns in here as well then.
Correct. And this is why Jones has column D that says action item. Let's change it to get issue and move on. And it needs to be part B. It needs to be B because the get issue goes first. and we assign each issue. I'm very happy to lead this because I was very involved in the trademarks creation for Jakarta EE. But it means I'm not going to own doing the work. I'm going to be there collaborating with every one of you. Clarification, that's different, right? We need to do this together.
All right, so track via get issues, so we can begin linking this up. By the way, this is a later conversation, kind of in today's agenda, but how do we track, the program plan? This is just an idea. We can agree or do something different. But for now, these are the action items. If there's other action items kind of missing,
yeah,
then
I will add them.
Okay, then we'll have to add it to this list and fill them out along with, potentially any leads. In fact, we kind of, boy, I'm trying to figure out next steps here, because we're talking about a compatibility program without really defining what is being compatible with, right? We don't have a platform spec. In some ways, this is almost a cart before the horse, but we need to do both.
Yep.
So here's the thing. Like I said, we meet once a week for an hour. We want to go to every other week, and we need to find the right venue to kind of discuss this. We can try and do it via a Google Doc and in the forums, or sometimes what we do is we'll set up a small kind of subgroup of volunteers that go off and kind of do a draft and everyone reviews. Are there any comments about how we want to actually define a platform spec?
Or if we want to do that, I mean, we should have the discussion, I think what you're trying to say.
Yes, we need to have the discussion, and I don't know if this is the right place to do it, just because it's going to be a potentially long discussion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we should do the Google group discussion regarding the compatible implementation, compatible this thing, like for the platform. And then
we have to define the platform first.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of, we should list some questions and then start a Google group conversation. And then
Does
maybe
someone want to take the lead on that conversation? All right, so I'll start a Google thread around the platform spec, and the baseline is going to be basically what we've done in the past. It's just an aggregation of the existing specs, saying you have to pass the TCKs with all the specs, and maybe a minimum JDK version. I don't want to discuss that here, right? But we could discuss it in the group. I have no problems kind of kicking off and participating in that conversation.
That's fine. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, so can someone assign me the action item in the meeting minutes?
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Okay, so that kind of takes care of that aspect of it. Defining what it is. Next step, I guess, comes down to who kind of wants to lead the compatibility. I think, well, yeah, the overall compatibility and not compatibility, trademark and branding effort. I think Amelia so far has been.
I will like someone else with me along this ride, because I can mentor that person and we can document. In Jakarta, we failed. I think I failed on the side that I didn't document what we were learning. And I would love this time to have the opportunity for us to document, so that future working groups do not go through from zero, right? So who wants to help on that one? And that means you know, like if I am PTO or something, you are on it, making sure the stuff doesn't fall onto the ground. It cannot be a driver. Ryan, you're going to be there with me. It cannot be a driver.
I figured I was already going to be there. So
yeah, exactly. Like, who wants to be with me? And okay, you know what? Tatiana is not here and Debbie is not here, and they're both helping. So how about I will ask
Why
them?
don't you ask the question on Monday in the marketing meeting?
Perfect. And then we have a volunteer. It needs to be someone else beside me. It cannot be just one.
On the number 7, in terms of specification pages and compatible products pages, we have a related action item in our plan already. We've already discussed that we do want to create pages for each individual specification release. And so we should probably start doing that. So we have something that we can look at and go, okay, is there a space in there where we want to list implementations as well?
So for this one, we can pretty much copy what Jakarta EE has done, right?
I think we should go fresh, right? So we wanted to create pages for our specifications that were focused on educating people about the specification to at least some degree. It should have like links. We got a great designer, so let's continue that conversation about updating the website and try to get maybe some drafts together about what the specification pages would look like. Because like I said, we had already planned to do this before we even thought about compatibility. We had already agreed to go, all right, let's make a page for MicroProfile 4, and it will list the versions that are in it. And there'll be a PDF link, and we wanted to do one for each of the individual specifications. And so we had, I don't know where we wrote this down, but all of our meetings are recorded, so we could probably find the couple meetings where we discussed this.
But the way I read it, this is a listing compatible implementations.
We can do that on the page, right?
The specifications pages.
Okay, we be very, very, very careful, because the primary need is, well, there's not a primary need. It's we will not have 2 sets of pages. One where all the specifications are listed by versions and we're just listing compatible implementations, and a completely different set of pages where we actually talk about the specifications for each version. It's going to be the same set of pages, right?
Anyway, I think it's better to do a mock and then bring back for conversation.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we should start working on it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, we knew we needed to do that already. We already talked about it a couple of times. Let's start doing that work. And then in the process of doing that work, maybe we can work in or have some better ideas or any ideas on how to list compatible implementations. Basically, I'm saying that aligns with other things in our plan. Let's start doing it. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just start working on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not much talking needs to be done. We just start. We know we need specification pages anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily, you created a fantastic template for that last summer. We can use that. You included even graphs, diagrams. So we will not start from zero.
Yeah, we can collaborate together. I think it's just start.
Yeah.
Just start. Yeah.
We need a lead. Who's going to report on status?
Do you want that one, Ryan? You're going to be the guy doing the draft.
Yeah, I can take care of this.
Yeah. John, assign me 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I will add my co-lead on Monday. I already added into the minutes that I will transfer all the Git issues to the repo. Is that okay if we use the MicroProfile working group repo for these kind of issues and instead of the marketing regular?
Let's talk about it in a second, because that is a topic. Yeah, that is the next topic is about how we want to track overall stuff. All right, so I think we kind of have action items. Am I missing anything? Is there anything fundamental that I'm missing as a part of this in this list of action items?
You're missing templates that but they're very basic. They are not crucial. So let it go.
Okay.
Do we have? Well, we do have some okay, it bundled into the, are we going to have a platform spec is then the
right
related concepts, like platform TCK, platform
Yes.
compatible implementations.
See, I think that's almost part of this branding discussion,
Yeah.
because we got to come to that conclusion before we can
Yes.
determine what we're going to brand.
Right.
So that was, I think, somewhere under to be removed. That's not it. Technical, was it under technical goals or other platform? All right, somewhere we need to have, I mean, for now, I'll tell you what, I'll just stick it under the branding compatibility program, right? So we'll add platform.
They're having a real hard time with platform.
Yes, well, it's my keyboard when it's overloaded. It skips characters and does
Oh
all sorts of
no,
things.
that's terrible. I hate that when it happens.
Well, I have to say thank you so much for creating the Excel sheet, and Emily for submitting the technical roadmap and the mailing list. That totally helps for us to move forward.
Yeah. So
Okay, now comes owners. So I can say John start Google thread. I don't know if I'm the right person to own it long term.
That's what I put in the minutes.
Yeah, platform TCK definition. Kind of owning the TCK as it applies to compatibility.
I think that's pending the conversation of whether that there will be a.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
So so the other place is in the additional goals, John, the platform spec.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll go back and look and see. Maybe we'll leave it here because it's a dependency. I don't know. And remove it from the other one. So, I think we have a starting point here. Next call, what I'd like to do is maybe a status check, but I know that in our meeting minutes, Amelia had already kind of has items, and we'll see if we can get to any of it today, related to the thing that these 3 bullet items that I've highlighted, like 2, 3, and 4. So we can cover that at least with the status, right, of where things are. The second thing is, how do we track according to the program plan? That's what this spreadsheet is. You can kind of see what it is. Initially,
Can we use these issues, please? And the repo, the marketing.
Let him finish his question before he answers.
Yeah, and by the way, this is an approach. If we want to do everything via Git and track things via Kanban or whatever, I don't know. However you guys think it is most consumable. Well, 2 things: consumable by us, but B, consumable by those outside of the immediate community that work on it.
And
right.
maintainable.
Yeah. And maintainable.
And also
Comments?
if we use the Git issue, are we going to use a MicroProfile working group? I think we need to use one GitHub repo to be able to create some give us a status and etc. If it get around, it can defeat the purpose to create that issue.
Right, and that
I like that.
Yep, and what happens, just for other people's education, if we start separating it across a lot of different repositories, then trying to combine that into a project board or whatever, that's extremely difficult to do. And I'm speaking from experience because of the Jakarta EE work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I second your or third or whatever. I agree with you, Emily. Let's use the Jakarta work or the MicroProfile -WG group. We'll file all our issues there.
Mm-hmm.
If they need to link to any other issues outside that repo, great. There's still we can put the link in the issue.
Yes.
Yep.
I will transfer if we agree with that, I will transfer all of the MicroProfile marketing in the MicroProfile. We have more than 400 tickets already closed. So we need to move those, I am noticing it will be hard for me to find this stuff in a month. Imagine people that do not even work in that repo. So need to go cleaner. We have very few issues in the working group, and it just seems amazing to me that we can use it. Plus this page, just because it gives you an overall picture of what's going on. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, so along those lines, as a part of this, so MicroProfile Git, I'm perfectly cool with. This was just a way to start communication, and Git ID is fine with me. It comes down to kind of leading these things. So leading each topic. I don't know if this is appropriate for now, but when we created the program plan, we kind of divided and conquered. I thought it really was done really well. Lots of people participated and involved with kind of owning the slides of the program plan. We reviewed it and it got out pretty quickly. I'd like to, is that appropriate here? Do these, how do I say this?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's going to come down to the folks that, the folks that worked on the slides, maybe have the first right of refusal to create Git issues, right? It's like, I'll do them, since I created the slides. But if anyone else wants to volunteer and create Git issues out of this, and maybe we tag them, right? Marketing, technical, right?
We'll tag
and so on.
The slide title.
Yeah, slide title. Okay, so if that's the case, insert names here.
Yeah, those are all becoming labels.
Yes. So who will volunteer to change the labels of the MicroProfile working group repo?
You can create a tag yourself. It's a kind of very
no. It needs to be labels or projects. I recommend projects just because it works nicely.
Wait. Hold on. They're not they're you could do both. So we need labels for everything that are slides. Yes, we can create a project out of this too, but that's totally separate. So I had volunteered for the website stuff, the infrastructure website. So I'll happily create those Git issues. If we agree that we want these sections as like labels, I can create those labels right now while we're in the meeting.
Super needed.
If people agree, can I get a nod?
So labels for each of the issues that you're creating?
No, these sections here that we have a slide in our program plan for each of these sections. We have a marketing slide, a community outreach slide.
Right.
And so each of those would be a label. There'd be a marketing label, a community outreach label, an infrastructure website label, technical goals label, additional goals label, specification process label, branding and compatibility label.
Right.
It will help to navigate for sure. It's useful, I believe.
Say that again, Ruslan?
Ruslan, we don't hear you.
I think I say like it will be helpful to navigate, so it's useful for sure.
Yeah.
My feedback.
And track. What's the status of the marketing issues or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make those labels.
Community, I think that was Chandra that kind of led that one.
He's here. He can decline.
I'm very much here. Yes, I can still continue that.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think if someone else want to add their name on, I think not necessarily need just one lead. I mean, it should have anybody.
Multiples. Yeah,
multiple. This is just multiples. I will add more in the marketing side, at least 2 more.
I think for the technical goals, I think I will just say Edwin and Roberto. I think would be good. I think that's a lot of things to discuss and etc. So I just.
Can I get a verbal or visual thumbs up from Edwin and Roberto?
Yeah, me too. Technical stuff.
I'm sorry. What exactly do you want me to do? Co-lead with that, Emily?
I would.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to multitask everywhere right now. So.
Yeah. It basically just means that when people say, "What's the status?" you're one of the people who speak up, and you're not one of the people who go, "What's the status?"
I'll try. It's fine. Okay.
And So specification process, do we know who led that? I don't remember who created that slide. Was it Scott?
Yeah, it was a Scott.
I think that was actually me, but
was it?
But we created it on the call. We literally wrote that
right
on the call. It doesn't have a clear owner, but I'm happy for Scott to own it. Somebody else, you know.
Well, he's not on the call right now. He could be a co. Is there anyone? So if we start looking for the
yeah, actually,
what the action items are.
It's quite interesting. The items that are listed here has to go with a lot of that certification stuff and the branding and, you know, compatible implementation. So it kind of overlaps a lot.
Why don't you put, yeah.
And also overlap with some goals in additional goals.
All right, so we're gonna, we don't want to necessarily end up with duplicate issues. It sounds like what we have here is most, maybe we don't need a specification one.
Maybe.
Let's return to it and say to be determined. You're correct. To be determined.
You know, you can use multiple labels on one issue.
I was about to say,
yeah. Good point.
So we can create the label and then, you know.
John, I will do branding and compatibility. I cannot even say it, sorry. And marketing, and I will get on Monday more people to help.
I'd like someone else to lead, to spread the love.
Yeah.
If possible.
That would be great.
Is there someone from I think was it Debbie that did the slides?
Tatiana,
okay.
Let's ask Tatiana and I will send her a message.
Okay.
She is not on the call. She wouldn't, could not join today.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna put down TBD. I don't want to put down anyone's name without kind of getting their plus. I mean, is there anyone else that is interested in kind of co-leading these efforts?
I'll work with Chandra on the community outreach. I mean, I put that chart together, and so I've got some thoughts on that, and I know Chandra does, so happy to work with
great. I look forward to this, Kevin.
And John, maybe you can add me to the additional goals.
Sorry, additional goals, who's that?
Rudy.
All right, Rudy.
Awesome. Thanks, Rudy.
Infrastructure website, so maybe I can help David.
Ryan, if you want to volunteer for marketing because you are related to everything, you can also add yourself a volunteer, but we need many more people. Let's just make sure that we have at least 3 people for each category very soon.
Or at least 2.
Put me on marketing for now. I mean, I'm on marketing, I'm on the website, I'm on
all of
branding,
it.
so,
yeah.
I'll be around, so I can fill in if no one's able to do something that day or give an update.
Yeah, I believe Tatiana will be able to help, but we need just ask her, so I cannot commit, without her confirmation.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so here's what I'm hoping to get out of this. We have co-leads. They kind of lead the effort, not just for creating Git issues, but kind of owning the task throughout maybe the year, which is why we have co-leads, and kind of move the action items forward that are the tickets. We could discuss later if we want to have commonality and all that kind of stuff across them. But that's kind of the hope, so that we can have some accountability to ourselves, right? And the community can see a status of where we are. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. So actually, I'm going to do one thing here saying deprecated. And then the last task is around the live Hangout. So we have, I've already drilled this in, more content than we are able to have in a 1-hour live discussion. Some of the things I've brought up in the past are maybe we turn this live Hangout into a status call where we can review the status of our the status of the program plan is an idea. and any kind of high priority topics. That's an idea. But we simply just don't have enough time to cover all the things that we need to cover, because right now we're covering mainly working group issues, and we don't have time to get to the spec issues on this call. So thoughts about that, hopefully from someone that hasn't been talking yet and been highly involved. So others that are interested in the technical aspects, let's see if there's anyone else on the call that has some ideas about what they want this call to be.
Yeah, I can give a preference. We talked about it last time, I think. I would be for having a technical call about the technical stuff and a overall call discussing anything other important. I think that's a very good split. So that's my opinion.
I agree. I think
so technical means what, and other important stuff means what? Is it working group every other week, and spec technical every other week? What?
Yeah, sorry, I thought it was implicit. Let's say how to do certain features in which release, and what problems we have, what's the status of the independent specifications that are on track or not for a release, stuff like that, in one call, and on the other call, the Hangout, talking about the MicroProfile marketing-ish stuff and the goals that we have to set with the program, the actions that we are going to discuss, which we are going to put out, stuff like that, in these two separate calls.
So in some ways, that's almost three. Anyone interested in marketing has the Monday calls, and based on I don't know if we have time to how much time we have to discuss the marketing calls here, but so with that assumption, then the call that you're referring to, then it could be a summarization of the technical meetings, a summarization of the marketing meetings, program plan status tracking. Is that an idea?
Yeah, it's kind of what we had before the working group, right? That when I started out in MicroProfile, we had a call that mostly was about what's the status on this and this specification. Yep. We are aiming for release X. Are we on track, and what do we need to do? That was kind of the Hangout then, before the working group was being formed. So for me, that actually worked pretty well for me. So if you can split that from the working group and technical stuff that we are discussing now, then I think the Hangout can be, go back to its earlier form and then be a status update call.
Mm-hmm.
Should
any other input?
No, sorry. Should we introduce then the architecture calls again? Were those more technical related discussions?
It's included in what Edwin said, I thought.
I think the second week, next week will be the more like architectural call. So basically focus on technical stuff. And then call will be a look at marketing. And then bi-weekly call we will look at overall plus all of the working group conversation processes and etc.
Yeah, we can label it architecture call because it was what it was called in the past. It makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to suggest a different name so that it appear differently on the calendar so that people don't feel confused. Like Amelia doesn't want to have every week call. So
okay.
I love all of you, but I am exhausted of keeping up with the 2020 every week call. We don't have to. I already sent that to the community forum. Can we stop this now? Next week is going to be community, and then moving forward, no more weekly. We name them what they are and move forward. We need to stop. We need to detach ourselves from what it is. It's very, very tiresome.
All right, so go ahead, Emily.
Sorry, John. So next week will be last week the normal live hangout, right?
No, I mean community. that is the community. We will continue to have the community every 2 weeks, but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we organize ourselves to do everything else. So, like we will keep the MicroProfile calls on the marketing side, the
Yeah, yeah.
Monday before, and then we add the other, I think it's one call extra, the technical call. And
Yeah. Okay, agreed.
Yeah, so this community live hangout really becomes kind of that status call
Yes.
that tracks things, makes sure things are moving forward. Then we have on the opposite weeks, we could have the technical calls, the Monday marketing calls for whoever's interested. Again, it's not a marketing committee. It's just those interested in marketing.
Yes.
Marketing can be on the Monday calls, and that's bi-weekly, and that's it, right? And then special calls as is deemed necessary. Okay. So sorry. Next week is Kevin.
Wait, John. Yeah. So great description, but I'm still confused. So
okay.
Where do we discuss, okay, like things related to the, well, what we were just discussing with the program plan and tracking that, where do we discuss that?
That would be like in the live hangout traditional meetings.
The update.
Status updates.
But you see, now that's what is strange, because that's not what we discussed, previously with our Hangouts. Our Hangouts used to be focused on our releases and trying to get the specs done and working towards that goal. So
okay,
we kind of had a split. We kind of like a half an hour of one and a half an hour of the other.
Yeah. See, that's how I see. Again, it's a status call, right? So it's going to be part of that would be the status of the specs and where they're at. Can we fit it all in? I don't know.
Okay.
We can try. Let's start. We need to teach what currently is and adjust. I am desperate for us to go back to being lean on calls, and we can work offline and we can meet if we have to. And the MicroProfile marketing side, if we needed to meet for extra time, I think all of those collaborating will do so. And I think if we have issues here, we will do it too, because we will do whatever needs to be done. But we need to stop these weekly calls. And that is the only thing we're asking.
Well, it's still going to be weekly, just different
topic.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. So
yeah. So I'm trying to get sorry. Is there anyone else that has input? Because where we currently are is the live hangout becomes status calls, including release status, program plan status. The other week calls become technical discussions around specs, and I don't know who's. I mean, I lead this call. I can also lead that call, or if someone else wants to lead that call. That's
Edwin,
cool too.
Let's get Edwin the chance. He's a committee rep. Edwin,
I think he might be getting a little overloaded. He's getting volunteered on a regular basis for stuff. At a certain point.
I can take the technical call.
Gotcha. So we'll work on a Zoom meeting for that. So I'll work with you this week to kind of set that one up. And we'll have to define exactly what that call is beyond this, the scope of this. Is there anyone else that has input that kind of disagrees with this approach, that has another idea?
I don't really disagree. I just think that everything in our program plan is going to require time together getting work done. And so, I don't really know how to, it could be that the off week is, one potential approach is that the off week is we're collecting to okay, the next couple of weeks we're going to work on community outreach and get some stuff done. A couple weeks after that we're going to do branding and compatibility. I don't know, but that puts everything in a serial fashion, which is maybe not great either. So I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out how to create a forum for getting work done on a lot of these program plan goals.
Hey, David, I do have a question. It may sound stupid, so I'm preambling it with that.
It better be stupid. Just
right. So what about having a Slack group with some channels on it, where basically we could do a channel for each one of those tracks that we have, and collaboration can happen over there during the week, and we don't have to wait for the meetings to happen. The meeting could simply be an overview of whatever we covered during the week.
We do have Slack. We do have a Slack group, I believe.
Yep.
Could I chime in? Being someone that's involved in most of the groups, I'd be concerned, or many people are spread out in most of the groups, that Slack can always get abused.
Yes, I'm not going to join a Slack. Chandra.
Like,
Okay.
it can end up taking
that's why
quite a
preamble.
long time from people.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the subgroup. For example, for example, some group, if this leads coordinators, they want to form a Slack group and then enable them to discuss offline, I think that's absolutely fine.
Yep, I agree with that, Emily.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with, so my philosophies on Slack are, as long as Slack is an optional place to be, it's okay. And then that means that if anything discussed there is valuable, it's got to show up somewhere else. So what I would say is that if we have Slack channels for all these different focus areas, fine. Once we file the Git issues though, we'll want to summarize conversations in those Git issues or the mailing list, or both.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
And that way, if you miss the Slack stuff or you just don't want to be there,
I'm not going to be there, so I'm very biased on
But
this.
for those of us who find it useful, great, go ahead and dig in and have real-time conversations. But then one of you needs to summarize it on the related Git issue, so no one's asking anyone for status, right? Status is there written on the Git issue.
That will be fine.
It's
All right.
like more like a thinking process.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of summarize where we're at, and we have to end the call, and my camera just turned off. So where we're at is next week, I think we're going to be a technical call. So
Next week is the community. Next week is the actual community call. It will be pushed via media.
Well, if it's a community call, it's basically the status call.
Yes.
Okay.
Next scroll a little bit down.
Go ahead, Edwin. Sorry.
Scroll a little bit down because I kind of summed it up on the minutes. Maybe that will help.
Oh,
I can
awesome.
adjust if the
Right. So biweekly hangout, biweekly alternate week technical call. So next week is the hangout week. The week after that will be the technical call. I guess who can set up the Slack groups? Does anyone have groups? Well,
yeah,
Slack.
Yeah, I'll update the minutes here. Amelia just pinged me on it. So I had sent, there's an invitation to get into the MicroProfile working group organization. And then from that point, you can create a private group for whoever you want to, like what Emily was saying, like if Chandra and I wanted to get a group going, we could initiate a group in order to talk about the community outreach.
Yeah,
okay.
You didn't mean private though, right?
Why would we have to?
I know. I was trying to cover David.
Okay. I was just double checking. I was double checking.
I know.
All right. So
you meant focused is what you meant.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see if we can get discussions started. Get issues created is number one. Discussions started throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then next week, community hangout. Let's review what we've done throughout the week around, make sure everything was created and so on as kind of a status call. And I think that really might be about it.
For next week, we need to focus on working on we can start working already on the budget. I found some discrepancies and I have asked for the budget to be converted from PDF to Drive to just a document, a Word document, so that we can add the comments because it's a PDF and not a conversion. And the thread is already sent to last week to the working group. I recommend that someone else joins the conversation and pushes for the Word document version because we need to start working on the budget as well. Though it wasn't added onto the things we need to ask, there are issues with what it is, including the finances.
That's a budget draft. And so, it's up to us to actually make a budget.
Correct. And we need to have it Word version. So I will add
We can just make a Word version. We can just type it in.
if we can do that too. Currently, we can even move it to the micro. Okay, you know what? I take the task.
All right.
I will copy paste and transform it into the community drive for us to work on it. Because as it is, it cannot. I asked the Eclipse Foundation
Sure.
to grab
It's
that word. Mhm.
Yeah.
I will transfer
Okay.
it. No task. Okay.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining. I tried to push things along and get action items set, so I think we're okay there. See everyone in 1 week, same bat time, same bat channel.
Mhm.
Hey, thanks,
Thanks everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. See you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.